Week 3 is upon us in the NFL, and it's time, once again, we're going to see a lot of chalk, a lot of injuries, a lot of things we don't want to see necessarily coming together here on one slate. But of course, we're going to get through it all. We're going to talk about the projections and the ownership projections. We're going to look at the optimizers, see what the math is going to drive people towards in terms of lineups they're going to build. We're also going to sim out some lineups on Stochastic and possibly on the solver as well. I think they're ready to go for that. We're also going to do an Underdog Battle Royale, build a pick 'em at the end of the video. We got it all going today, but let's get into it. Of course, I'm already in a projection room. We'll say that here. You can see on the screen, we got Stochastic projections here, and I should put the Stochastic plug up for this. Of course, 15% off at Stochastic with the promo code SPLASH. Let's get that whoring out of the way bright and early in the video. And again, supports the show as well, so please click the link in the description or use that promo code SPLASH. We got Jordan Mason, top projected player right now. He's in the thumbnail. He's in a matchup against the Rams team where I was doing my fantasy points prop betting column, and I should real fast put that in the chat as well. Let me just find the numbers really fast here, because basically the Rams right now are looking like one of the worst defenses in football. And there are a few teams that are, I would say, in the hunt for that crown. Panthers we've talked about, Commanders in particular in the secondary. We've talked about them a lot being a team to attack. The Rams, though, giving a 0.28 EPA per drop back, 0.33 EPA per pass, 0.2 EPA per rush, which is currently the worst mark in the league, a 1.7 EPA per QB rush. Not that matters that much for Brock Purdy, but if he does run, he should be efficient in doing it. They're also not great in the red zone, though they do defend the red zone rush a little bit better. Basically, just an awful team. They get killed by deep balls as well. 83% completion rate on throws to 20-plus air yards. The Rams defense overall can't stop the run, can't stop the pass. This is a Jordan Mason smash spot. So right away, I will tell you guys, 100% Jordan Mason feels like you're kind of locking yourself into where the entire field's going to be. I wouldn't say he's a free square. He certainly, I guess, can go wrong. But now you have George Kittle out as well for this team, it looks like. So you have Kittle out, you have McCaffrey out, you have Debo out. You have a matchup against the soft defense. I imagine it's just going to concentrate the touches for Jordan Mason, who's been getting a touch 45.5% of the time that he's on the field, basically, every snap. Actually, 43.5, excuse me. So 24 rushes a game, 25 instead of touches a game overall. Basically giving the ball every time that he's on the field, or half the time he's on the field. That number could go up to 60% this week. Jordan Mason looks like, I would say, as close to a lock play as you can get with the usage, how he's played himself. He's been efficient. He's been avoiding tackles. He's doing kind of everything you need him to do. Lamar Jackson, number 2 projected player on the slate, 22.6 projection on him. Matchup against Dallas, I actually kind of like this one. Starting to try to target it for a shootout. Dallas's defense we saw get strafed by the Saints last week. Don't know that Baltimore's going to be able to do that with how they're playing. Baltimore overall should give up a pretty good match with CeeDee Lamb. Let's see, in this one they have, on the year, given up a 52% target rate to the slot, 0.32 EPA on those plays, 0.06 EPA per drop back allowed, 0.07 EPA per pass allowed by the Baltimore Ravens defense. So to me, if you're going Lamar here, taking that high projection, pairing it with CeeDee Lamb, you're spending a lot of salary doing that. I think you're getting one of the more high upside situations. So Lamar here, high price tag is 7,500 a QB, but it could work. Kamara, again, he's looking good as well, going against Philadelphia. Philadelphia team wrote this up again for the fantasy points prop betting column yesterday, which I don't think I actually dropped the link in chat because I'm an idiot. Link in the chat now for the fantasy points column. Just pulled it up and then didn't give it to you guys. Shout out to the chat as well. GM Cutie Patootie, thank you to that. GMs, here we go. And Mason, much more costly over on FanDuel if you play there. Yeah, I saw that because I built one, or I was just kind of putting in, reserving an entry on FanDuel. It gave me one of those free voucher things. That's really the only reason I play on FanDuel is like, oh, free voucher, great, I'll give it a shot. But Mason's like, I think, what, 8,200 on there or something like that. So here he's just too cheap. He's basically, about up $1,000 from where he was last week. He's probably got to be priced mid sevens, I think, with the usage he's had. So Jordan Mason, it's logical chalk. But anyway, New Orleans defense here going against the Philadelphia defense, rather. Really bad against the run so far. Philadelphia defense also giving up a 0.19 EPA per rusher, right around what the Rams are in terms of the bottom of the barrel. Rushing EPA is allowed. They do suck against the deep ball. Not that matters for Alvin Kamara, but could mean they get to the goal line position to score a little bit more. So Kamara, once again, looks like good chalk as well. And I believe he'll be owned by about a third of the field. Jalen Hurts, number 4. Again, a little bit of a price point pivot to Lamar Jackson. Both guys projecting well. Both guys probably get played a good amount. Philadelphia on their end going to have to put up points against New Orleans, but New Orleans defense has looked good on the year, shutting down pretty much everything besides QB rushes. Negative 0.25 EPA per drop back, negative 0.3 EPA per pass. So Jalen Hurts, I feel a little bit less good about than Lamar, but certainly as a tournament play, it makes sense. And then CeeDee Lamb, we talked about here, top projected player at number 5. In terms of the top values on the slate right now, Jordan Mason, despite being the highest projected player, he's also the top value. So I think the ownership projection is going to have him at about 50%. If I had to guess, we're looking at more like 60% ownership. Still ownership, I think I would have a hard time fading. Geno Smith, number 2. We saw the pass production go up a little bit more there. The game against Miami should be a productive one. Miami on their end, hard to see them putting up enough points to stay in that one necessarily with Skylar Thompson. The talent's still there, though, besides QB. So we'll see how that goes. Deshaun, Kyler Murray, Caleb Williams, so all QBs as a top value, and Jordan Mason. And then Charbonnet not too far behind as well. Probably a good amount of teams I think will go Kamara, Mason, Charbonnet this weekend. And I wouldn't be mad at it either. I think that's a build that does kind of make some amount of sense. All guys feel like they have pretty good secure roles. All guys getting really good goal line work, red zone work. All guys getting about 20 touches a game in their current situations. I'm assuming, of course, that Charbonnet doesn't get blown out or something. But those guys, to me, Mason, Kamara, Charbonnet, I feel like you can put an RB in the flex and not feel too bad about it. What else should I do here? I guess go position by position a little bit. Actually, I should sort by fantasy points. All right. So top projected receivers right now, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, Tyreek Hill, hanging on just outside the top 6. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, a little bit of a low-owned stack. You'd actually have to see some Denver production coming back, I suppose, to want to take that double. But a double here at a reasonable price tag. Guys we know have been crushing lately. Denver's defense not that great on the year, a little bit better than they were to start last year for sure, where they're one of the worst defenses in football. Of course, the 70-point game being the apex of them being awful. But Evans and Godwin, you see them being a little bit cheaper, a little bit less well projected. I think interesting tournament plays for sure. I feel like RB, it just comes down to Kamara, Charbonnet, Mason. But RB, you can see these guys here. Mason, Kamara, Achane. Achane maybe gets slept on a little bit on the slate, though. Honestly, wouldn't be shocked to see that. One player does not matter for coverage. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make a lot. Even yesterday, our guy Steve was asking about the shadow coverage from Christian Gonzalez. Just doesn't fucking matter. Shadow coverage from most players in the league don't matter at all. And in particular, it happens so much less. It's about the team defense overall. So I would not worry about Surtain. Last year, Devontae Adams put up 40 on Surtain. Surtain doesn't matter. Josh Jacobs, number 4. Jonathan Taylor, number 5. So that's really RB here. Pivot points from Mason and Kamara. Charbonnet's projection is a little bit lower, but that 6K price tag is going to make him pop up a lot in an optimizer. You go to Jacobs and Taylor, feel okay about it. Achane, Rashad White, I feel like people are still playing. I personally wouldn't want to go there. Jahmyr Gibbs, a tournament play maybe. It's a little bit tough to see anybody you really want to go to that isn't Mason, Kamara, or Zach Charbonnet. Tight end's probably going to be ugly again, but we'll take a quick look at it, and then we'll look at the ownership. Trey McBride, George Kittle. Oh, Kittle they haven't taken out yet, so that's the one thing we're going to have to adjust for here. Brock Bowers. Bowers' ownership could come up a little bit with how he's been looking lately. A game against Carolina, though, kind of expect it to be a run-dominant one. Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews. There we go. Fading the Surtain FUD is probably unique. I mean, yeah, I think the people are not playing the Bucs enough yet either. I think people are going to start to play the Saints more this week. Still think they're interesting to play in battle royales where they're going pretty much in the undrafted range to the Saints receivers in particular. Olave is pretty much close to there. I think Shaheed is officially getting undrafted in battle royales, and then Carr barely gets drafted in battle royales. I think the Saints will get played more in DFS tournaments. The battle royales maybe not so much, but DraftKings this week. Bucks I feel like aren't going to get played as much. I think people are going to think that's an ugly one against Denver. And really, Bo Nix, for as shitty as he is, like he's not getting totally dusted in games. He's keeping the other team honest, keeping them on the field and trying to score points. So I think Tampa Bay is a little bit sneaky in general, just how good they are. Yeah, Laporta, Andrews, tight end kind of sucks again. No surprise here. Bowers, probably my favorite. McBride, though, hard to argue with that. Bowers at 5,400, though, still a little bit too cheap. Even though Andrews now at 4,800, everybody's coming down to tight end because they all pretty much suck. Ownership, let's look at that next. Think Bucky jumps quick if White stays limited today. I don't know if it'll jump him. I think White's going to be able to go. But Bucky's, the more that White keeps going out there not being good, if he gets banged up even more, then it is what it is. But I think really for Bucky, the hope is just still going to be a late season play. Jordan Mason, top protected owned player right now, 47% by Stochastic. Number 2, Alvin Kamara, not a surprise here, 25%. Feels a little bit low, to be honest, but maybe people afraid of Philadelphia's defense, even though Philadelphia's defense so far this year definitely not shown out that well. Charbonnet, number 3 at 20% rounded up. Devontae Smith, again, no A.J. Brown for this one, 18% for him. And Brandon Ayuk, no Debo, no Kittle. The target concentration should work out for him pretty well, you would think, as long as the Rams can stay competitive in this game. That's really the biggest question here. And I do think the Rams, I don't know, kind of an interesting play to go to this week, given the fact that you do have Ayuk there, you have Mason there, you can build out a full game stack and get a really concentrated Niners offense potentially. But you need the Rams to kind of keep up on their end. So if you were to go with, let's say, a Matthew Stafford double, you go Stafford with Tyler Johnson and Whittington. I mean, really, it could be any of the three. It could be Demarcus Robinson, Whittington, Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson playing the Puka role, as our guy Tyler's pointed out in the VIP Discord before. That's been the thing where he's basically the direct Puka backup. Jordan Whittington, the direct cut backup. And Demarcus Robinson is still just Demarcus Robinson somehow out of that equation. But basically, I think if you play that game stack, then you could play your chalk Ayuk, your chalk Mason, and make it make more sense. But otherwise, these guys are going to end up in lineups, and there's not going to really be that pull lever back for the Rams putting up enough points. Let's go position by position for this too. Highest owned QBs, we got Geno, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud. So all these guys under 10%, not really any chalk congregating there like there was a little bit for Jaden Daniels and some other guys last week. Top RBs, Jordan Mason, Kamara, Charbonnet, Devon Achane, Rashad White. Rashad White, top 5 owned RB. I'm actually be a little bit surprised by that. He does come up as a decent projected play. And again, the matchup against Denver, people probably like that a little bit more. I'm not sold, but he does project well. ETR projects him well. Stochastic does. So I kind of have to point him out. A lower owned RB, Zamir White, who I think definitely gets a touchdown this week. Does he get enough to win a DFS tournament? Not so confident in that, but if I had to guess with the Coach Speak going, Coach Speak Index has highlighted it this week, that Antonio Pierce has mentioned again that he wants to get Zamir White 20 touches. Really odd that he's been giving him a split backfield to Alexander Madison if the goal is to get Zamir White 20 touches, but it does feel like this is the week where you kind of squeaky wheels a little bit prevalent, I think, for Zamir White. Him at 5,500 is probably a live price point pivot. More so to Charbonnet than Mason, but I don't see him having a Mason-like ceiling. Maybe he could. Panthers are that bad, even if they're a little bit better on offense. James Conner, too. Him being low owned, 6.4%. One of the better red zone roles in football right now, too. So I'll highlight him, 6,600. He'd be more of a pivot to the Kamara Mason kind of thing. Hard to imagine him outscoring Mason still, but, that's what it is. Let's see. Wide receiver ownership. Oops. Take off RB. Top owned receivers, we saw Devontae and Ayuk. Chris Olave picking up some ownership, or expected to, 14% projected for him. Again, do think he and Shaheed would be an interesting double stack to go with this week. Olave probably more due for positive regression than anybody in football right now. His average separation score, the ASS metric that my pals at Fantasy Points have come up with that they've said correlates the most to wide receiver performance historically. He's been dominating in that. He's been dominating in first downs per target. A lot of the stats that signify that Olave should have better days. So Shaheed, I don't think can keep getting 50-yard touchdowns every week. If I were to choose one guy to stack up from the Saints or just to play from the Saints this week that isn't Kamara, it'd probably be Olave. So 13.6%. If I had to guess, closer to 10, but certainly we can see how that goes. CeeDee Lamb, 13%. Malik Neighbors, 11. Nico Collins, 11. So pretty flat wide receiver ownership overall. Godwin's still projected for 10% here, and Mike Evans much lower down. So Evans, the lowest owned part of that Bucks duo, if you wanted to go and attack that a little bit more. We'll see if there's any matchup advantages for Mike Evans as well coming up when I do the premium video coming up after this one, of course, where I go into my data sheet, go game by game, and talk about the stuff in more depth. Brock Bowers projected highest owned tight end, so sucks to see him be chalk, but again, he's getting so many targets, so many first read targets as well, is Brock Bowers. A lot of screens, so easy button kind of targets I feel like is now what everybody's talking about on social media. Brock Bowers is getting those. Kittle would have been projected for a lot of ownership, probably will make more ownership go Bowers' way. The backups for Kittle are not really guys. Eric Saubert and Tongas, Jake Tongas are behind him. Cam Latu would have been more of a play, but I don't think he's available. I think he's on IR. So really there's nobody you want to go to as sort of the Kittle replacement. The move is just to go to the receivers, Juwan Jennings, and going to Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, he's going to have a ton of ownership. Trey McBride, 10% ownership for him. Again, top projected tight end, no surprise there, in a game that should be competitive against Detroit. Mark Andrews, his cheap price tag, 7.4% ownership, and Dallas Goedert, 7%. Goddard, to me, didn't look good in game one without A.J. Brown. Certainly can look better with just the crush of targets being available there for that Eagles team. And a game that should be competitive and need a lot of points. Anything else to point out here? Defense is just, why not? Who cares? Bucks D going to be owned a good amount against Denver. No surprise there with a $3K salary. Dolphins D against Seattle. A little bit surprised to see that, but I guess if they're going to stay competitive, that would be the way to do that. Colts, 3,200. Their defense has been really bad, but Caleb's also been really bad. Fight against, but that's how they're looking at number 3 owned. Titans, Bears. So Bears against AR probably get killed, but I guess you can see the logic there. And Titans, a revenge game against Malik Willis. Different regime there, but certainly they could take advantage of Willis, even though Willis, it doesn't seem like they're going to take any risk at all in that offense based on what we saw last week. So hard to expect you're going to get points against Malik Willis if he's not going to drop back, really. All right, let's go to the solver. Let's run an unencumbered crunch here and see what we get in terms of the players popping up. Of course, solver, what it does, let me change the little Chiron here. Of course, stochastic, 15% off. You want to get the data and the sims. I'm going to show you in a moment. Solver, check the link in the description. Again, the biggest thing for the solver is that it's an optimizer combined with the sim. So if you want to hand build some stuff, you can. And the downside is, like, for me yesterday, I basically had to like build all my lineups in fucking like I had half an hour after putting the kid to bed. Had to run through it. It's a little bit tougher to do that. I think for those kind of situations, stochastic sims a little bit better because you're getting 10,000 lineups that are simmed out 10,000 times right away. The solver, you have to hand build, optimize lineups, and then move them over to a sim. So there's a valuable part in it. I think for main slate, I'll be using the solver more. I think for sims, I might start moving to stochastic just because the time, as I've mentioned, if you just want to get lineups fed to you, stochastic sims are really good. If you want to build lineups and have control over it, I think the solver gives you that. So check out the solver. It's worth trying no matter what. And again, if you have the time to build lineups, I do think there's a lot of control that you get with the solver that you just don't get with other products. All right, so no stacking force, nothing like that. We are still getting an optimal lineup of Jalen Hurts, Cam Akers with Mixon expected to be out. That's right, Mixon too, I think might be in the stochastic projections still. Let me check that. Because if Mixon is out, that will change that a little bit. No, they don't have Mixon. Wait, do they? No, they do have Mixon. They have Mixon getting a 14.8 projection. Akers getting 4.9. So you're probably looking at Akers getting the 15-ish projection, maybe 14-ish. I guess if they wanted to round down from where Mixon's is. So Akers might be a more important play in the slate than I realized here because he was not reflected in stochastic's projections right now. If Love starts, how does it affect the Packers skill players ownership? Probably not that much. People don't know to trust in that overall receiving core. Nobody's going to get chalky if that's what you're wondering about. But definitely be a little bit higher owned, I would think, on teams or people that are trying to be savvy because certainly the Packers are not priced for Jordan Love to play this week. Anyway, this optimal lineup here: Hurts, Akers, Charbonnet, Devontae Smith, Tank Dell, Ayuk, Ferguson, Mason. So fading Alvin Kamara in this first one because of the price point for Akers. It's going to look a lot better with still a pretty good projection on him. ETR has him as a 14.9 projection, does Cam Akers at a $4,700 salary. Overall, what we're getting in every lineup, we are getting 100% Ayuk, 100% Mason. So this is what we talked about with yesterday's slate. And this is one thing that killed me because I fucking said it on the video for the showdown yesterday, and then I didn't play it because I was like, that's too gross. Like Rodgers at captain. Because when you saw that Breece Hall was going to be in every lineup, that Garrett Wilson was going to be in every lineup for the showdown, your brain should then go, well, why is what's the QB doing in this? And I was like, Rodgers at captain kind of makes sense. And I was like, it's still like it's a really gross play. Like I don't know that I want to do that. And I didn't do it enough. So that was my main takeaway yesterday. I didn't do it, and I didn't do it as thoughtfully as I should have when I was building my lineups because I didn't have enough time. But same thing for the slate here where you see Ayuk and Mason coming up. There's no Brock Purdy. There's not a Rams bring back. So that's going to be your way here. If you're playing the chalk build, think about how to leverage that chalk to build yourself more correlation to make it easier to get that parlay of things you have to get right. So think about Rams you could bring back. Think about pairing Purdy with these two guys. That should be sort of where your brain goes. And then the alternative would be fade one guy, fade both guys. Like that's sort of how it goes. But either keep one guy out of your lineup out of Ayuk and Mason, or lean into it and make sure you're getting unique with it. Get a unique stack with it. Get unique pairings with it. But that's sort of the way to play it right now. Akers coming up at 84%. Bucks D and 80%. So Bucks D, Akers, Mason, Ayuk, Devontae Smith, all pretty known quantities here. All right, let's build 500 real fast in the solver, and we'll see what their sims give us. We'll use high because it'll go. Well, let's just stick with ETR variants. Let me upload my settings here. Of course, you could save settings. So for me, I just give little boosts to every correlated wide receiver, every correlated tight end, and a little bit of a smaller boost to every correlated RB with my QB. And then same thing with opposing players, a little bit of a smaller boost for them. Let's build these lineups. So you can now optimize 500 lineups on the solver and then sim them out. So let's do that right here. going to go real slow here. We get to just hang out and vibe. I guess I get to do some plugs. So while this is running, guys, we appreciate content like this. And again, my goal here is to show you what building lineups looks like in real products. And I think the biggest issue in the industry right now is that because every site, every YouTube channel you watch out there, were a lot of great creators, a lot of great companies producing content out there. They only show you their product. And I think that's great but the goal is for them to sell you their product. Where I do think in reality, what you want is to see all the products come together, because tournaments really just consist of a bunch of different products coming together to make their best versions of lineups with the people behind them using it. So that's what we're trying to find here on the slate. That's what we're trying to find for showdowns as well as on Mondays and Thursdays. Sunday, do the same thing. Of course, my final takes video Sunday at 9 a.m. So subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. Your support does go a long way for me as a solo proprietor here trying to do something different. And frankly, I'm running into competition everywhere these days. People are taking my beloved 11 a.m. slot that I've been doing for now over a year. People are coming for it. So your love, support goes a long way. If you hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, all that. These are still fucking building. I might just pull the plug. I want you guys to get the real look here, but 500 lineups of the solver does take a little bit with the boost going. But other plugs, Stochastic, 15% off, promo code SPLASH, link in the description. Solver, link in the description as well. And Underdog, of course, we're playing on here, doing a battle royale in a little bit. $1,000 in bonus cash, still the deal they have going. I think they have some other promos going as well. I know they have a free pick 'em for CeeDee Lamb, I believe, this week. One of those 0.5 yards picks. And then they have a promo. Today's check your lobby day for Underdog. They have a promo which will be in your app on Friday. So special promo for you in your app if you go check out Underdog today as well. But again, $1,000 in bonus cash. Best amount of bonus cash you're going to find in the business. So check that out for yourself. And let's see. Hopefully I can cancel this and just take 300. All right, let's sim 300. 300's enough. Been waiting around for too goddamn long. All right, so they have some of the tournaments in, but not all of them. Yeah, they have the play action with 198 entries, which is not how the play action will actually work. So let's sim the slant. Really wish ETR would get this working a little bit better. ETR, as I've talked about here for the solver, what they do is they build their own pool of lineups. And frankly, they do take a little bit slow on that. Sometimes they don't build the biggest tournament the right way. So it's been one little pain point with the solver, I will say, but the sims themselves are still great. I do like this little thing here where you can see how often things cash, what their percentage of finish is. That's a pretty fun one to see. So we're getting a heavy Seahawks stack here as top ROI. Geno with Charbonnet, Metcalf, JSN, Brandon Ayuk, Jake Ferguson, Jordan Mason, Devon Achane. So Seattle with an Achane bring back. So basically game stacking up that Seattle game. Not using the pass catchers, though. We do expect to have worse production with Skylar Thompson as QB. Geno Smith, actually, wow, Geno dominating ROI this week. This one wins about, this is what, no, why does it show me 2 percentile? I want to see one. Show me one. This finishes in the first percentile 3.5% of the time. Geno, Rashad White, Charbonnet, Nico, Metcalf, JSN, Jake Ferguson, Jordan Mason. So it loves the Seattle doubles. The pass rate did look pretty good. Production looked pretty good for both those guys. So I get it. I'm the Drew Holiday of DFS. I'll take it, I guess. I have a pretty high usage rate though, which I don't think that Drew has anymore. Is Sharps projected that much higher over Pollard? Ownership seems big. Let's take a quick look. I mean, he should be because Tyjae Spears is going to be active. Pollard 15.1. Charbonnet 17.75, so about 2.5 point projection. That's big enough projection wise, yeah. A way better play. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with these takes. Pollard on the year, 2.5 red zone rushes a game. 21.5 intent of touches is good, but like the crush of touches isn't there quite as much. He's facing a Green Bay defense that's shut down the run so far. Negative 0.08 EPA per run allowed. Negative 0.66 EPA per red zone rush, which is actually tops in the league. They've shut down the run game pretty well. Charbonnet is facing a Miami team that doesn't defend the run well. Just got strafed by James Cook. Get up a point. Well, I guess their run defense a little bit better than I thought. Negative 0.2 EPA per rush. Overall, 0.5 EPA in the red zone run plays, though. So they get killed in the red zone. But yeah, Kenneth Walker / Charbonnet. I mean, there's about 5 red zone touches a game for these guys available. So look, if you don't like Charbonnet, I get it. But Charbonnet had 20 touches last game, got the goal line work. I don't agree with Pollard being a better play. I could see doing in tournaments, but I don't think he's a better play. Charbonnet's coming up in all these lineups, by the way. So if you're fading Charbonnet, you're getting really unique. But keep in mind, the directional accuracy of the Sims is the main thing to look at. When it's telling you Charbonnet's coming up a lot, that does mean that Charbonnet is likely going to be a better play than not. Deshaun Watson coming up here. He looked, I wouldn't say resurgent, but he did look less dog shit last game out. Deshaun Watson, Zach Charbonnet, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams. Adams low-key a good matchup against Carolina's defense as well. I think it's that they play a lot of zone or a lot of too high, something like that. Carolina. You're playing zone at a high rate. Adams really hasn't been targeted that much against zone. Somebody on social media I know was talking about the matchup being good for Adams. I think it's supposed to be, but it doesn't look as great according to my metrics from SIS and all that. But that's the lineup for that one. I don't know. Demarcus Robinson being in it, kind of interesting. I don't know that I want to play a bunch of Geno and Deshaun Watson lineups, though. I got to say that. Geno I could live with because I could see them wanting to produce a lot of points on Seattle's side just in the chance that Skylar Thompson is a complete dog shit. But I would say knowing this, seeing all these Sims coming up with a lot of Seattle stacks, I would say Seahawks D does gain an appeal a little bit because then you can just play sort of the outcome that Seattle dominates. The pass game doesn't get there because of the fact that, Skylar Thompson just can't do shit on offense. So interesting to see as much Seattle, but my brain says try to leverage against it more. Though I do think Seattle, again, performed pretty well last week, like seeing the pass rate go up. Fields team here. Fields, Achane, Charbonnet, Neighbors, Pickens, Ayuk, Freiermuth, Mason, Bucks, D. Not the most exciting. Double stack with Fields, though, will get you low owned. And if it hits, I guess it could hit in a big way. I'd probably be more inclined to just play Pickens, but I get why they're going with a double with that. Here's a Kyler one. Kyler, Kamara, Charbonnet again. Lil Jordan Humphrey, who should get squeezed by routes by Devon Vele coming back in, but I guess it's still a chance Vele could miss one more game. But Humphrey picked up a lot of routes last game. Certainly would not go out of my way to play Lil Jordan Humphrey in any format. Even in a showdown for the Broncos game, I'd be like, I don't know about Lil Jordan Humphrey at $200. JSN, Brandon Ayuk, Trey McBride, Jordan Mason, Bears D. So unstacked Kyler. Huh. Oh, no, my bad. McBride. Okay. I was looking for Harrison. No Harrison, though, here. Here's a Derek Carr stack. Carr, come on. Wow. QB +4 feels aggressive, but again, you got to put up a lot of points against the Eagles, so I guess it could hit. Carr, Kamara, Charbonnet, Olave, Shaheed, Ayuk, Taysom Hill, Jordan Mason, Titans. I think this is also kind of reflecting the smaller tournament here, this being the slant, where you could get away with a little bit more correlation. In smaller fields, you get more correlation. In bigger fields, generally, you're going to have to hit every player to be the nuts. So that's the difference between a slant and a milli maker, and I think that's what we're seeing here. This kind of build, though, I like this build. Is what exactly we talked about before. Maybe less so with the Kyron part of it. But Brock Purdy, Achane Mason, Chris Olave, Ayuk Whittington, Jake Ferguson coming in against the Ravens, Kyron Williams, Broncos D. So you're getting the stack here. You're getting the guys who are going to be in every lineup, but you're making an actual stack with it with Brock Purdy. You're then putting in at least one Rams bring back. I feel like I'd be more comfortable with just Whittington, but they bring Kyron along as well. And basically saying that the Rams produce enough to make these guys get to their apex in a concentrated offense for the Niners. So I think that build works a little bit better for me. Let's go to Stochastic now. You guys saw the solver. Now we'll see what Stochastic's version of things looks like. I think it's 25% to first, whatever. Let's build a player pool here. Now I got to log in again. Killing me. All right. Let's log in, build 10,000 lineups. Let's see what Stochastic gives. Of course, still got a Battle Royale on tap, a Pick'em on tap, and of course, I'll do a hand build too. So we'll do all that. On Sunday AM, I will go through the Sims and go QB by QB and talk about the validity of the lineups, how I feel about them, how I would change it, what I like about the lineups, what I don't like about it. So that's the Sunday Final Takes video coming up at 9 a.m. too, if you want to get the most actionable data on Sunday morning. How do I feel about Purdy and Mason and Ayuk? No Purdy. I think it's. I said it when I started the sim process. It's going to be in every lineup. So if you do that, you have to get low owned somewhere. One way to decrease the ownership a little bit would be to play Purdy and then play a Rams bring back. So I think in that kind of situation, it makes sense to bring the bring back in to that one. So, but yeah, in general, they're going to be on every team. So that's the main point. Seems like you need to attack the late games this week. I guess. I don't even know what the late games are. I don't really think of slates like that. Miami, Seattle, Carolina, Vegas, Baltimore, Dallas, Detroit, Arizona, Rams, Niners. I mean, yeah, those games will have the most players for sure. And probably because of the Niners chalk as well. And I guess potentially McBride chalk, Bowers chalk. Going to have a lot of potential late swapping for the late slate as well. Something to watch out for where the sharper players will definitely be optimizing that the most. There's late swap tools on both Stochastic and on the solver. So it could be a late swappy kind of slate if you have like a really good team going through the 1 p.m. window to look at what you're doing and make sure that it still looks good because there's going to be the optionality to move stuff around there and really go for a home run potentially. Something like go into Juwan Jennings, fading Ayuk. I don't know. Probably wouldn't fade Mason no matter what. Yeah, I always talk about the most important thing here. But yeah, I would say in general, go back if you wanted to see me talk about that more. But basically, yeah, it's just they come up 100% of the time with no boosts or anything. So if that's the case, you're going to be in a lot of lineups together. And that's basically it. No Kittle, no Debo. Like Mason should pick up the pass game role here. That's one bet that I'm not sure if I'm going to put in the pick'em. I did have in the fantasy points column. Kyle Juszczyk, his passing yardage. So in the past, he's basically averaged about 19 yards per game with no Debo, no Christian McCaffrey in the mix. So I think for that situation, like Juszczyk probably picks up a little bit, but I think they finally have to use Jordan Mason in the pass game for real. He's been a really low target per route run rate guy though, but he's been running the routes, just not getting targets. But Mason, it feels like they have to use a little bit, even if they do use Juszczyk for a couple of those little dink and dunk kind of RB targets. Dak CD stack's going to come in low owned. I mean, CD was a little bit less owned, but I wouldn't say low owned. Dak probably not too owned though. Rams Niners returns to rock fight. All the best players are injured. Yeah, I mean, the Rams defense is so bad that I don't think it does. Rams defense legit looks like one of the worst defenses in football so far. Aaron Donald was like holding that thing together with duct tape and spit and gum, and now he's gone and they have nothing there to replace that. They thought the crush of getting the 2 FSU guys up front was going to help. It hasn't so far. I just don't see how the Niners don't produce, to be honest. Like they still have the ability to block. They still have players. They still have Mason. They still have Ayuk, who should be better at some point. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Have to keep moving these things around. We got highest ROI lineup here is a Caleb Williams lineup. We got Caleb, Kamara, Josh Jacobs, DJ Moore, Godwin Odunze, Colby Parkinson, Jordan Mason, Buccaneers. Hard time going back to Parkinson after last week, but certainly a play you could go to here. The Caleb double, though, is kind of surprising to see. But Keenan Allen likely out again with his heel stuff. He is just a fucking albatross. He and Christian Kirk at that price point in basketball are just albatrosses. But if you're going to say that Chicago produces enough points here, I guess this could hit. Man, I'd have a hard time making that bet on Caleb Williams right now, to be honest. But 21 implied points in this one. Indianapolis on the year getting strafed in the pass game. 0.34 EPA per drop back. 0.4 EPA per pass. Yeah, it should be a get well spot for Caleb. I don't know that he's going to be that good, though. We got Caleb again, number 2. Caleb, Kamara, Charbonnet, DJ Moore, Ayuk, Odunze, Goddard, and Mason Buck. So Stochastic Sims loving the Caleb up top. 3 out of the top 5 lineups are all Caleb stacks. So Caleb doubles, in fact, they both have Odunze and Moore. CJ Stroud is the only non-Caleb lineup in these top 4. Stroud, Kamara, Josh Jacobs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Odunze, Munt. Fucking Johnny Munt gets into way too many lineups no matter what site you're playing. Jordan Mason, Dolphins. So none of these are really lighting my world on fire. Darnold, Kamara, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Godwin, Powell, Munt. A triple with Darnold? Ay. I mean, look, there's going to be points in this game. I get it. So it seems like the Sims really like the outlier scoring potential in Houston, Minnesota. So that's something to keep in mind here. This is why I don't try. That shouldn't be the logic. The Sims, again, are about directional accuracy. It's about telling you what the move is going to be that people are going to, has the most upside based off the current projection. So it tells you some things that are insightful, even if you don't believe in the lineups. But there's a weird grouping up top. I think the Cam Akers edition should change things a little bit, losing Kittle as well, maybe. Here's a Geno team, Baker team. Baker with Kamara, Rashad White, Godwin, Neighbors, Thielen, Otten, Jordan Mason, Dolphins. Really think Mike Evans is going to be low owned this week. You're getting a Baker stack, and it's not even considering Evans. Evans could be sneaky. Geno Smith, Josh Jacobs, Charbonnet, Metcalf, Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Trey McBride, Jordan Mason, Bucks D. Interesting. So the ETR sims were pushing us towards a lot of Metcalf and JSN, and the stochastic sims seem to be favoring the guy with the more historical profile in Tyler Lockett. Besides that, I don't hate that team. A lot of Seahawks, though. Really, people might play a lot of Seahawks this week. It seems like the one thing I was not prepared to see here. Dak Prescott, build with him. Dak, Kamara, Zamir White. I do like Zamir White. CeeDee Lamb, Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson. So Carolina double without Carolina. Hayden Hurst at tight end. Jordan Mason and Saints D. Ugh. All right. Carr, Kamara, Jacobs, Olave, Ayuk, Shaheed, Hurst, Jordan Mason, Bucks. I could play this one if it weren't for fucking Hayden Hurst sneaking in. Like, why is Hayden Hurst a top sim option? 17.5 routes per game for Hurst. 17% target per route run. 1 red zone target a game. Tight end matchup's not that good. Hurst is just sneaking in for the same reasons Jordan Akins was last week. The price point works, but that's not that. How about this one with Carr, Kamara, Mason, Godwin, Olave, Shaheed, Kittle. Well, that's not going to exist anymore. Odunze, Dolphins. There's a lot of fucking Hurst and Kate Otten teams up here. Like here we get a Brock Bowers team, but you got to take Michael Pittman with it. No thanks. Yeah, these lineups aren't doing for me, but let's see what they look like overall. That'll be a more important way to tell. If the Seahawks stack hits Achane or Hill would have to have a big game, you'd think. I think that's fair. Probably more likely Achane at this point, but Tyreek, I think, going to be underplayed for sure because nobody believes in it. Really, this week, if you were going to make one bet that people are not going to play a lot, let me see if the price tags have moved enough to really justify this one. I mean, it's a really low total for Miami, and Tyreek Hill's price tags come down a little bit, but not enough. But if you were to stack Skylar Thompson and Tyreek Hill and Waddle and just go with the fact this Miami offense is all of a sudden going to be as good of a version as it's been historically, like nobody's going to play that outcome. It seems like an unlikely outcome. But there's something to Miami this week, I would say, based on everything we're seeing data-wise here. Let's see. Yeah, the opposite here. I mean, you can, again, as I mentioned up top here, I guess I'll mention it for the people keep straggling in. You can fade one of Mason or Ayuk because they're going to be in every lineup, it looks like, projection-wise. But in reality, the matchup is so soft and the offense should be so concentrated for those guys that it doesn't make logic to fade them. The Ayuk's easier to fade because you can basically make the case that the Rams just don't compete. But I would say that, yes, the more wise thing to do would probably be to play both guys, but find unique ways to play them both. All right, so top ROI players, Brandon Powell. Brandon Powell filling in. Addison not likely to play again. Why would Powell be coming up? I like Brandon Powell, but I don't get why that would be the case. See, Powell on the year. Brandon Powell, wow, 1.5 EPA per target, but only 1 target per game. And he's only getting a target, 6% target per out run. That's an awful play. What is these fucking sims, man, sometimes. Anyway, it's all going to move around before Sunday, but like Powell is not the kind of play to have that much of. I assume it's not a lot of exposure, but I don't see how that hits. He's not running enough routes. Only running 16 routes per game. That's not a good play. Odunze, get a little bit more here again. No Keenan Allen likely again. Johnny Munt, awful EPA, negative 0.4 EPA per target, but running 18.5 routes, 3 targets a game. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. Sims love fucking Minnesota sacks, though. That's a lot. 3K wide receiver. I don't know what his price tag is, unfortunately, offhand. Can't find that. No, it's right here. 34. It's on the fucking screen, Spurious News. $3,400. $3,400 salary for Brandon Powell. We got Bucks D coming up here. Highest ROI of the defenses. Jordan Mason still high ROI despite all the chalk expected for him. Charbonnet again, 24% ROI. Thielen high. Lockett high. Dolphins high. Kamara, Beyonce. There's a lot of guys with positive ROIs here, as you can see. Stack ROIs. Best QB +1 looks like Caleb Williams. Best QB +2 looks like Caleb Williams. Sam Darnold not too far behind. Would Dulcich be a good punt tight end this week? His usage was up last week a little bit, I guess. I mean, you're going to get some leverage on Tampa Bay defense being chalk, so I guess that wouldn't be a bad one. On the year, Dulcich, negative 0.5 EPA per target's not that good, but he did play 46 snaps last game, which was up quite a bit. 18% target per out run, 5 targets a game. Yeah, Dulcich isn't a bad play. I think there's better tight end plays this week, but he's not a bad one. What else to see here? Highest QB +3 ROI, Caleb Williams again. So Caleb, stochastic sims, fucking love Caleb. So ETR sims, love Geno. Stochastic sims, love Caleb. I think those seem like the biggest takeaways so far. And QB +3 still looks pretty good according to stochastic too for Geno. So even though stochastic sims not pushing quite as much Caleb up top, still pushing a good amount of Geno. All right, let's go. Let's build a handbuild lineup here. Let's use this lineup generator. We'll use the big version of it here. Why not? All right, so how do I want to do this one? I mean, I think Mason has to be the play. Talked enough about him. Matchup should be good. Kamara, again, a very soft matchup, I think, against that Eagles defense. It's not defending the run at all. We know he's getting goal line work. We know the Saints are going to move the ball. I feel good about that. I am just going to play Ayuk. I could get more creative here, but I really do think he's one of the stronger plays in the week. Why can I not search him? All right, whatever. Did I spell it wrong? That must have been why. All right, Ayuk coming in here as well. So to me, these 3 plays, 3 of the better plays in the slate would be the best way to say it. Probably some ways to get lower owned somewhere else, but I'm not there personally. I can't scroll all the way down. All right. Here, let's just go to the normal one. I guess that's why you do this way. QB Brock Purdy, or add a stack on top of it. Would I stack Carr with a Kamara and Olave or Shaheed? I think you do all 3. You should be doing different combos of it if you're going to stack it up. I'd prefer Olave at this point, but I think that Shaheed's still perfectly viable, and valuable. Olave, though, I think is a play that I do like in this one. I think we have to do a Rams bring back. Who do I like the most out of these guys? All right, so Rams. We got DeMarcus Robinson getting a target 15% of the time he runs a route. Tyler Johnson, 17.5% of the time. Whittington, 15.4% of the time. Parkett's at 11% of the time. So nobody's really getting a big crush of targets so far. Tyler Johnson probably has the best role, but he's been the most inefficient, a negative 0.7 EPA for him. Whittington is the cheapest, but 4,200. He's not really that cheap. He's not getting red zone targets. He got the 1 called back, I guess. Marcus Robinson's kind of the best play, I think. He's a professional receiver. They got to get production. I think we got DeMarcus Robinson as a bring back. So now we could go Carr to get less owned. Definitely think would want a Philly bring back. Whittington's going to probably take all the cup snaps, yes. I think building out Carr and Philly is going to be a little bit more out of left field than building Purdy here. So I am going to go Carr for this one. I think Purdy is perfectly valid in this one because, again, you have the Niners double. You have a bring back. Here we go in New Orleans. Philadelphia bring back a Devontae Smith wouldn't feel that bad. We've used a lot of salary. All right, Devontae bring back leaves us 3,050. Got to get a cheap defense in. Cardinals D would fit the criteria. Vikings D going against Stroud. Home underdog, Minnesota defense. They can get a TD. I'm going to go with that. All right, so we got Vikings D here. We now have 3,700 left at tight end. So we can get somebody semi-legit. Do we do the Rams double? Do Colby Parkinson here? It's a lot of Rams production without the QB, but I think we could agree that Carr's got a higher ceiling than Stafford. Well, he should have a higher ceiling than Stafford with this pass game core. No, Fant. What's Fant doing? Fant, 53.5 snaps per game, 25 routes. Not earning targets too well. 3.5 targets a game, 14% target per out run. I think Parkinson's a better play. All right, so really matchy. Let's see what the ROI we get on this one is. And this is the one, by the way, I had people asking yesterday. Our guy Dwayne was asking, if you want to do something on mobile, the single lineup generator tool, the sim tool, is going to be the one you're going to want for mobile. So check it out. It's stochastic, 15% off. All right, 86% ROI. This team works. So my final team here before we go to Underdog and build a Battle Royale team and a pick'em. We got Derek Carr, Jordan Mason, Alvin Kamara, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Olave, Demarcus Robinson, Colby Parkinson, Devontae Smith, and Vikings D. So we got the bring back on the Carr double, I guess, technically with Kamara and Olave. We got a Rams correlated game build here. Maybe a little bit too stacked up, but I think, again, if you're going to play both Niners, you have to do something to get unique, and you also need to have pressure going on the Niners to see the upside for Mason and Ayuk. Like, I think Mason can hit no matter what. That's basically it. What's minimum ROI that's good? It depends on what you're building. If you built like an Andy Dalton stack and you had like a 5% ROI that's positive, that's still a decent ROI for Andy Dalton. If you're building all the chalk shit, then you probably would have a higher ROI for your builds. But anything positive would be okay. And honestly, even on Showdown, you could play some negative ROI lineups. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world to do. All right, let's go to Underdog Battle Royale time. I have still not installed the best ball overlay tool on this computer, but you can use it for yourself. You're building a bunch of entries. It's a good way to play that for the Battle Royales. Oh, of course. Why would you detect my location? Why would that ever work on the first try? All right. Battle Royale. Here we go. Battle Royale time here. So again, promo code SPLASH at bestballoverlay.com. Check that out. You can get their ownership tools that will help you make better teams across 140 or to 50 entries for sure. But even if you're putting in 20, just be able to control your ownership, know when you're making certain plays. This is the best ball overlay tool will give you. But I didn't put enough entries in this week anyway. I've only done like 2 drafts. So we're going to make this work. And we're going to take CeeDee. Well, do we want to take CeeDee Lamb up top? Kamara at 2 is pretty tempting as well. This is tough. Kamara's workload, one of the better ones in football right now. 5 red zone touches a game, 3 of which inside the 10-yard line. 21.5 intended touches. He's been really efficient with it. Philly's defense sucks. I do like the CeeDee Lamb matchup, but I think Kamara might be too valuable. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Kamara first here. Feels a little recency biasy, but I just think, what? Okay, thank you. Selection can't be made of the pick that I want to make, but Alvin Kamara at 101 here. I think we can find other receivers that feel good about the upside. I don't think that there's as many RBs that have Alvin Kamara's ceiling right now if the Saints offense keeps doing what it's doing. So to me, Kamara 101 feels pretty good. All right, guys, let's see what we get. Going to be a long time between picks here. If you want to see the next part of this video, by the way, where I go game by game through my data sheet, you need to join the channel down below, $4.99. If you do that, you'll be not only getting VIP perks like a Discord you get access to, where you talk to me as much as you want on there, and just in general, too. Lots of great guys in the community. Our guy Robert Griffin III, Tyler in there a good amount. KY's been contributing a good amount lately. Lots of guys coming in and adding some value. So VIP Discord you get as well, and you get premium video and my data sheet, which I'll put out as soon as the video is over today. So that's what you get for subscribing here and joining down below. And of course, supports the show. It's very hard for me to put on the show right now, to be honest, because it doesn't make enough money. So more of you join, the more I can do is really the way this works. So hit the join button, support the show if you enjoy seeing content like this, giving you a real process here on camera. Really wish these guys had went faster. You'll get the hottest Allen Lazard takes. I wish I'd played more Lazard yesterday. That's my hot take for it. Garrett Wilson, though, huh? Really? Everything I said was right so far. Garrett Wilson. I don't victory lap a ton early on because it's a lot of season left. I think the equivalent of how much football we've played so far relative to a best ball slate is like we're in quarter 1, I think is what still that would be like only a few minutes in the first quarter. I think it's what I saw somebody on Twitter put out. So basically, it really is one of those things where we got a long ways to go. That said, Garrett Wilson getting squeezed by everybody, even Breece Hall. Like Breece Hall got okay yesterday because he got the 1 touchdown, which was barely a touchdown. But Braylon Allen takes enough away from Breece that these guys look great. Like Jets looked great yesterday, beating up on the Patriots like I thought they could. But I don't think they put it down the way people would want to see. All right, I do think Brock Bowers to me remains one of the most valuable plays. So I'm going to be taking him no matter what. I can build. I could do Hurts and Devontae. I think it's going to be pretty common, though. with Kamara if I had to guess. I will take Devontae, but I think I'm going to try to build a Saints double with this because I still believe that Olave is a little too cheap. And we got to scroll the fuck down for picks to do the, well, they say scroll the F down. They don't give the cursing, but the Badge Bros, one thing they've gotten right from day one about Battle Royales, I'm sure amongst many things to be clear, is a scroll the F down thing. Basically what you want to do is build based off ADP values as much as you can early on, and then try to get a little bit lower owned with the other guys after that because basically there are players from, ADP range 31, 32, 33, especially 34, 35 on, where they're a few projection points off and they don't get played. They get played a fractional amount of the time, as opposed to the guys in the first 25 picks who get played in every single draft. So that's sort of how you keep that in mind here for Battle Royales. A big key lesson for sure. I did beg you to play Lazard. I did. I mean, it wasn't even half in jest. It was just that he looks exactly the same as Garrett Wilson in the numbers I look at. So that's what it is. Wilson would have been fine if he went 2-3 turn. Yeah, even if he was reliably going where Olave went, I would have been okay with him more. He was just, to me, behind. I mean, it sucks now, but he was behind AJ Brown, was behind Puka, was behind Marvin Harrison. I don't know if he's really behind Drake London. London didn't have a good game last week, so some signs of life there. But yeah, I think he's just not. I don't know. If AJ Brown were healthy, he's not in that tier to me. First 3 rounds of Battle Royale this week feel pretty straightforward. Pollard this week. Okay, so everybody loves Pollard. You guys really love Pollard. If Tajay were out, I'd be more inclined for Pollard, but it's not the highest total, and Pollard's workload's not as good as other guys who are based at the same price point. I don't know. I don't think you have to necessarily be too GPP brain this week. I think the best plays are sort of obvious. And thank you for our guy, Cat's Legend, best DFS content in the industry. Thank you. I look, there's a lot of great content out there. I won't claim that for myself, but I appreciate Cat's Legend saying it and appreciate all you guys hanging out with me here. Of course, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. It's going to be the real showtime. Fucking Olave goes. Really thought I could get Olave on the way back. Olave's got a 25.9 ADP on him. He has come up a little bit. He's getting drafted. Tight end feels so thin. I mean, to me, that's part of why I just grabbed Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers, I said last week, he was my go-to play in the Battle Royale. That ended up being a good one. Like Bowers, I think right now is the one play you're like, cool, I'm getting 8 to 12 points and then a shot at 20. That's sort of all I want at tight end, really. I think we got to scroll the F down here. I think we got to take Shaheed now. Again, wanted to do the Olave Carr, but instead we'll do Shaheed Carr again. So don't have to get this game stacking in Battle Royales, but I really do think this game has a good shot of going nuts. So I'm going to take Derek Carr. Well, do I have to take Derek Carr? The Olave drafter has Lamar. Justin's not going to take an unstacked Carr. But honestly, I need to think about who I'm going to take next anyway, so let's go Carr. So we have Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Smith, Rashid Shaheed, Brock Bowers. So a double here on New Orleans. Again, really a lot of production. Would have greatly preferred this one with Chris Olave. But I think we have a target concentrated offense for the Devontae Smith side of the equation. We have a concentrated offense that's really efficient, that I like a lot, that's running well right now in New Orleans, and a matchup that fits pretty well for these teams, put up a lot of points. So go there. Shout out Donnie here. Thanks, Spags, for all your hard work. Easily best content on YouTube. I appreciate that. You guys give me flowers that I don't even know that I feel like I deserve, but I'll take it. Right now, you guys get an edge because fucking not enough people watch these videos. The showdown videos people watch. I think that's one now where that edge is gone. For the main slate, though, I feel like this Friday video getting less views than I was last year for whatever reason. Probably because fucking everybody's going live at this time period. But I feel pretty good about my take so far. Even though I was definitely too anti-Jets yesterday. It was too anti-Jets, but the projections being that heavy and not liking the Jets. But man, when you see two teams though, where they're both giving up 80% completion rates. That's really one of those things in the future I need to be more mindful of. And I'll actually keep an eye on it when we do the data video after this one. Again, if you want to see that video, $4.99 down below, you'll get instant access. You can see me. It'll get redirected as well right over. But basically, I think that whenever you see two defenses, especially early on, giving up really high completion rates, just making a bet on one of the QBs hitting works. You can make a bet on both QBs. But Brissett did not take advantage of the Jets' high completion rate. Rodgers had, he looked the best he's looked. He didn't have to do a lot in that game, but he's looked the best he's looked. He honestly was moving a little bit too well. Team gives you a boner. I'll take that. And everyone's too drunk for this time slot. I guess. 11 a.m. I don't know. This guy taking Kittle in the last round. Kittle, I think, is like as close to rolled out as can be. Thoughts on Corum's pick him to score a TD this week? 6x. Is it a play or fade? I would not play Corum doing that. I don't think he got any goal line work last week. You're hoping for like a blowout. He got no red zone touches, and Kyron has gotten 6.5 per game. I would not do that now. We'll do my pick him in a moment, though. I do have some anytime touchdowns for you, but probably not the Blake Corum level of odds. We got to dig deep for one more player. J.K. Dobbins versus Pittsburgh does not feel like it. DJ Moore going off. I do like Zamir, though, but I don't know that I want to do a Vegas double in a Battle Royale. And Zamir's ceiling is not the highest. Let's go DJ Brown. Or DJ Brown, Jesus. DJ Moore. All right, final team here. What? Fucking come on, man. Final team here. We got Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Smith, Rashid Shaheed, DJ Moore, and Brock Bowers. Similar teams I built earlier in the week. Carr, Mason, White, Jefferson, Olave, Bowers. Got the discount on Jefferson because of him being banged up. Felt pretty good. And then I built this one. Carr, Gibbs, Lamb, Olave, Shaheed, Bowers. So I'm playing the Saints on Battle Royales this week. There is no ambiguity. Who else compares Sims back to the best? Thank you. I appreciate it. Look, I thought it was a unique angle, so it's nice to hear you guys actually feel the same way. Let's build a pick 'em, though. Of course, I can't answer these in PA, but I still do try to build one every week. And we've gotten close the last few weeks, I think. I don't know how many of you guys are tailing me out there, but feel good about the picks in general. So let's make some more good ones today. Zamir White, I talked about him getting an anytime TD. I would feel very good about. They don't have that fucking market available. But Zamir White, 20 touches in this game, going against a Carolina defense that on the year is not very good. Carolina, 0.12 EPA per rush allowed. They don't get pressure. They don't miss a ton of tackles. Only 11% avoided tackle rate going against them, but a 17% stuffed run rate. I think Zamir White gets going this week. He doesn't get enough pass game work for me. Want to do rushing and receiving, but I'm going to go the higher on 57.5 rushing yards. Let's go switch to the Underdog. If you want to tail this pick 'em, $1,000 in bonus cash on Underdog. What else do I want to play this week? What else do I feel strongest about? Kamara getting there, I do feel really strongly about. Again, would like to have some touchdown props, but he wouldn't have an anytime touchdown anyway. Rushing and receiving 102.5. That's tough. 4.5 receptions. He's going to have the most production on the ground, but I would take the higher on 102.5 rushing and receiving. He doesn't have to hit 100 in just one metric, which is kind of Kamara's ball. How are the Eagles at defending RB passes? Let's see that real fast. The Eagles having a 20% target rates RBs, which is pretty high. 0.12 EPA on those place RBs, which is also pretty high. They don't defend the slot well. Kamara's actually got 2 slot targets this year so far, which is not a ton. He's not getting targets out wide like Breece Hall is, but he's getting good pass game work. Anyway, Kamara, I feel pretty good about this one. Feel better about touchdown props, but you're taking negative money on touchdown props on most sites out there. Who else do I really like this week? Really, what else did I put in my props column? I'm like already fucking blanking on it. I don't think I'm logged in on here either. Oh, let me see. I feel like I spent like 3 hours writing this shit yesterday, but it's like a blur because I don't write anymore. All right. Oh, Jordan Mason. Duh. I fucking love Jordan Mason. His rushing line to me is a fucking no-brainer smash. Higher on 93.5 rushing yards here. Again, we talked about it earlier in the video. Rams, terrible. We could also play Mason in some sort of DFS esports thing here. But Jordan Mason here, higher on 93.5 rushing yards. I took him at 92.5 yesterday. No, 90.5 was the line yesterday. So, wow. All right, so you're taking a little bit extra yardage on top on Underdog, but still a line here that works. Again, I believe the matchup's really soft. So Jordan Mason to me, pickup slip that I feel happy about, or part of a pickup slip I feel happy about. I do like CeeDee Lamb a little bit. They're going to have to score points. 85.5. Yeah, let's see the higher on CeeDee Lamb. And it's a splash play pick 'em, guys. We're only doing higher as well. But CeeDee Lamb higher in 85.5. Talked about it earlier in the video, but the matchup should be pretty decent overall for CeeDee Lamb. Just pulling it up real fast. Baltimore in the year, giving up a 0.06 EPA per dropback, 0.07 EPA per pass. Defending the slot, 52% target rate allowed there, where CeeDee Lamb gets most of his targets. 0.32 EPA allowed, also pretty high. They are defending out wide a little bit better, but Lamb's only getting 6 targets compared to 10 out of the slot. So the slot match for CeeDee Lamb is what I'm targeting going against Baltimore. I feel good about adding him on. And then who would be one more? Can't believe I couldn't get the Zamir White touchdown. That kind of chafes my ass. Ayuk, maybe? I guess I could do a Monday Night Football prop, right? See what we get for Jaden Daniels here. Do you think it's more of a rushing game for him here? Cincinnati struggles against QB runs so far in the year. Yeah, 0.54 EPA per QB rush allowed by Cincinnati's D, 0.06 EPA per rush overall. He's going to have a tougher time passing this week if I had to guess. So I will go higher on 52.5 rushing yards. So my final pick him here, we got, before I go over, do the data video, which will redirect on this video, guys. If you're a member, stay tuned. Zamir White, Alvin Kamara, Jordan Mason, CeeDee Lamb, and Jaden Daniels are your picks here on this pick 'em slip for the week. Tail it at Underdog. If I can, let's see. 1 week, maybe it'll work, right? Let's put in here. Let's put in a $5 entry for $100. Damn it. Is it ever going to be legal in Pennsylvania? Probably not, but we'll still build it here no matter what. But guys, I appreciate you being here. Of course, if you appreciated this video, some things you can do to support the channel. Number one, join down below for $4.99. You'll be getting the video I do right after this one where I go game by game and show you my data sheet, which also you get access to as part of a membership. So please join, please subscribe, do all of that. Of course, Stochastic, another great way to support the show, 15% off the promo code SPLASH. They don't have any other deals going right now. They only do deals at the beginning of the year. So if you want to get money off on Stochastic, Sims tools, the data, even though that Sims, like I didn't agree with the Sims, but that's important. Like it's important to see that this is what the data is pushing people towards right now, and also see how it moves between Friday and Sunday when we do it again at 9 a.m. So check out Stochastic. Do that, of course. Use the promo code SPLASH for 15% off. Solver, no discount, but again, support the show and get access to it. A great tool if you want to hand build. I'm probably going to be using the Solver mostly for my hand built lineups that I do on Sunday, where I'll lock some stuff in, sim off that. That's what you can do with the Solver. So 2 great tools. You just want lineups fed to you, go to Stochastic. You want to build your own, use the Solver. That'd be my recommendation. Thank you all the fine folks. I'm going to stop the reading of names because I have to do another video, and frankly, that also requires me talking for an hour. But shout out to all the fine folks who've joined. If you want me to do the reading of names, just let me know, and I'll force myself to do it. But for the sake of time here, all these fine folks supported the channel. I appreciate them for it. Of course, they get my VIP Discord. They also get access to my data. They get the video coming up after this one, and I like them more. So please hit the join button down below. Game responsibly, even though it's always money time, guys. And follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Back on Sunday at 9 a.m. or right after this one, redirecting to the data video. So stay tuned for that one. I'll see you guys over there. Enjoy your weekends if I don't see you again. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye.